Hello, great to have you back in the course. Let's start working on our next section now, where basically customers can tell about their experience with natures. So you're gonna learn here how to make text flow around shapes using the shape outside and float properties together, and how to apply a filter to images. Then you're gonna create a background video filling the entire section. And for that, you're gonna learn how to use the HTML video element and how and when to use the object fit property. So you see that once more, this section is full packed with new stuff for you to learn. So this is what the section looks like. So here we have like a testimonial of this person, of Mary Smith, and then down here another one. Now what's special about this is that we have this round image here, so this shape, and then this text flows around that shape. And so that's what we're gonna do in this lecture. You also see that we have this style here with this non-rectangular design again, so this line that you see here and on this side as well. So that's a design pattern that's repeating across this web page. And then of course you also see that we have this background video here going on. And so you're also going to learn how to do that. Then in the end there's just a small button here, which could then lead to another page where the user could read more stories, okay? So let's start once again with the title, so with the H1 element here. Then we style this entire section, but not the background video. Okay, we're gonna leave that one to the very end. And then we can also start styling this component here. So this is gonna be a story component. So let's do that. Closing the card here. So let's create a new section. Section stories. Then again, we will get our H2 element here, so our secondary heading. So let's grab that from here. This time it says, we make people genuinely happy. All right, and now down here, let's start a new row. Actually, this is all not well formatted. Okay, let's start a new row now. Now this time we're not going to put any columns in the row. We're just using this nicely centered container that the row gives us so that we can put our story component in there. Okay, and we also make use of the margin bottom that this row here already has. So we cannot just put columns here in the row, we can also use it for other stuff. So let's put a story component here, story element, and for now there's nothing really in there. Let's just leave it like this, okay? So once again, let's start by formatting the section stories here in the home file. So give it some padding first of 15 rem top and bottom, let's say, and 0 left and right, of course. Then for now, we'll also give it a background color. And why not the same gray as before? So this is only temporary because then later on we're going to put that background video, okay? But for now, let's put this color there. Right, and so now we can add our new component in here. So it's a story as CSS. And that's not what I wanted main, okay? And this one is story. And close it. So what do we have in our story? First, the width is not 100% because that would be way too wide. So let's put it to 75%. Then we want to nicely center it. And again, it's a block element inside a block element. And so we can use margin, 0, and auto, right? Then let's also give it a box shadow, 0, then 3 in the Y direction, and a nice blur. Okay, then RGBA for the color as always. And just 0.1 should be enough. Also background color, so that's visible against our background. So color white. And now finally, a nice border radius. So we've been using 3 pixels, So let's do that here again to give it a consistent look. All right, and so here it is. Now we just need to fill it up with something, okay? You can also first give it some padding. 6 rem, let's say. And all right, that should be enough for now. So let's take a look what we have here. So this is once again an H3 element, and this is just a simple paragraph. Then here we have, of course, this image. But in order to create this effect where the text flows around the shape here, let's actually first start with just some round shape and then take care of the image later. So let's put a shape here in this side, and then on this side here a box where we can input the H3 and the paragraph. So then these two things side by side. All right. So we start with the shape, and I will make this one a figure called story shape. And I'm making this a figure because it's semantically the best thing to do, because we will have an image together with a caption. And so we have the image and then a caption. This Mary Smith name here is the caption. And so in HTML5 we have this figure element where we can put an image and then some caption with the fig caption element. But again, let's do that later. For now, let's leave it empty and continue with the part which contains the text. So just a div, story, text. And then in here, as I was saying, we have the heading tertiary again. So H3, heading tertiary. I had the best week ever with my family, is what it says here. All right, and then down there, just some paragraph. So let me just copy the random text that we have here. Or actually, no, let's get the text. It's better. So I think it's this one here. And paste it here. Okay. In here, in the heading, in the H3 element, we also have to add that that margin to the bottom, right? Remember that? And I don't remember quite which class it was. Let me take a look here in the utilities. So I think we used to use this one here. So margin bottom small. So give it a save and take a look. All right. So let's actually now set the font size here for this entire thing to, here we have it. Oh, push this one here to the side. So we can do font size. And then there's a variable for that. Let me check out the name. So it's default font size. And so the paragraph will then inherit that. Okay, so let's now take care of the shape. And so this is just a div element for now. Let's give it some height and some width. So 15 rem and height as well. So it's basically a square for now. And then we want this element sitting on the left side. So float and left, in order to make the rest of the content float around it. That's how it works, right? And now just so we can see it, let's give it a background color as well. And orange red, again here my favorite. And let's take a look at that. Okay, and with that in place, let's actually add a bit more text here and then make this content float around as if it was floating around a circle. So a shape like a circle. Okay, we can do that. This doesn't even have to look like a circle. In order to do that, all we have to do is to use the shape outside property. And so let me show you how we can do that. So in here, we can use the shape outside property just like this. So we have to define a vectorized shape here once more. So we did that already when we used the clip path property. So we defined a polygon back then, remember? Well, when we did that back then, I told you that we could use other things here like circles or ellipses. And so now this time, let's use a circle. So a circle. And in here we can define the size of the circle and the position of the center of the circle. So how does that work? Well, the first number we put here is actually the radius of the circle. And so if we say 50%, then the radius will be half the height and the width of the element. And so in this case, that will be 7.5 rem. And so if the radius is 7.5 rem, then the diameter of the circle will of course be 15. And so that's exactly the size of the shape here, right? And then we say 50%, 50%, because that means that it's the center of the circle. So exactly the center horizontally and vertically. All right. Now I can change this later here in the inspector to show you the difference, but that is what we want here. And in order for this to work, the element must actually be floated. And that's the case here, right? And so we have already done that. And another thing that I should tell you about this is that in Safari, it currently only works with the WebKit prefix. So let's do that. Okay. And so like this, it works in Chrome and Safari currently. So it doesn't even work in Firefox, neither in Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge. But of course, that's for now, as of recording of this course by the end of 2017. So if you're watching this in the future, this might have changed, okay? So that is that. So the browser support. And another thing that I have to tell you is that beside having to be floated here, this also only works if the element has defined dimensions, so width and height. So this is quite a demanding property. So it has to be floated, it has to have a height and a width. Only then it works. Okay. As I was saying, let's just add some more text here. Like repeating that part. Okay, let's take a look. And so you see it's different already here, right? So you see it's like wrapping around a circle. And instead of just imagining a circle, let's actually put one there, okay? And we can do that by using the clip path property. So clip path, and then we just use the exact same circle, all right? Okay, and actually the same thing also with the WebKit prefix, okay? So again, this shape outside, all it does is to define where the content flows around the element. In this case, a circle. And if we actually want the element to look like that circle, we can then use the clip path property, okay? And so that should be better now, should look more logical. And so yeah, actually it's really flowing around that element, right? Let's just take a look here. And as I was telling you, let me actually change these values here a bit. So you see if the circle would be bigger than this, but already stop working. So 50% is really the best that we can do. The same thing, of course, works here. But here we can just decrease the radius, and then of course the shape decreases. All right, let's now add some space here between this. And the best way to move around an element that is floated is to actually not mess with margins or anything like that. We should just use a transform, okay? So let's do that. Transform and then translate it. And of course, in this case, in the X direction, and let's do it -3 rem. And let's take a look at that. And well, that didn't do the trick actually, probably because it should be like this. All right, here we go. Okay, that looks much better. Now the thing is that we had this padding here going on, so these 6 rem, I think, which is the blue color here in this diagram. But with this transform now, we occupied half of that padding there on the left side. So let's add some more padding there. So these 3 rem that we had here, let's add that padding here on the left side. So after that, we say padding left 9 rem. So 6 plus the 3. Okay, and with that taken care of, let's actually now include that image. Okay, so in here. So inside that figure element, let's put the image. And so the image now will be going into the IMG folder and then nat 8. So this is what we want. And here let's just say person on a tour, because that's what this image will look like. So now we can get rid of that background color and take a look at what we see here. Well, that looks rather strange, doesn't it? So let's see where that image actually is. So this image is taking all of this entire space, so it's 2000 times 1333 pixels, and that's because we didn't give it a width. So remember, once again, flexible images for responsive web design, they always need a width, always without exception. Okay, so I think we actually didn't give it a class name, did we? Figure, no, we did not. So it's the story image, just like this. So the story image, and so let's just give it a width of 100%. And why is that? Well, that's because this image is inside of a shape which has this width here well defined. And so if we say width 100%, that will be the 100% of the parent, so 15 rem. And so now it should look good. But well, actually it does not. And that's, of course, it's obvious because the image is wider than its high. And so if we gave it a 100% width, then of course it cannot fill this entire circle that we put here. And so it shouldn't be width 100%, but height. And now then it should look okay. And so that looks much better now. Now, one other thing that we didn't do yet is this non-rectangular design that I have here, okay? So let's take care of that. And we actually do it the exact same way as we did before with the features section. So let's do that. And so what we're going to do is to skew this entire story. So transform and then skew. Now the difference is that this time we're going to do it in the X direction and 12 degrees. So let's take a look at that. And so here we go. Actually it should be minus 12 because we want it in the other direction. And so that's what it looks like. Now we have the same problem that we had before, which is that now we basically have to skew this one and this one in the opposite direction. So how did we do it last time? Well, we did it like this. So we used the direct child selector and then selected everything. And in this case, that would just be the shape element as well as the, well, where is it actually? Yeah, so here the story text element. Let me actually define it here. I didn't do it yet. Okay, and so that would select the shape and the text. However, this is not going to work, and I'm going to show you why. Let me first put it here and then show you why it doesn't work. Okay, so it does actually work with the text, but not with the story. And that's because we already have one transform here going on. So this translate here is already a transform, and it actually takes precedence over this one. And so therefore only the translation applies and not the skew. Now in CSS there's currently no way of having two transform properties applying at the same time. And that's a shame, but I read that they are working on this. So I think that basically in the future these functions that we use here, they will be transformed to real properties. So maybe someday we will have skew x as a property and then we can specify 12 degrees. Or we can have translate x as a property and then specify -3 as the declared value. But for now, this is what we have. And so what I'm going to do is to simply add this one here to the text. And then just the skew part here to this transform. And then it's going to work. And so we have to make it separately. So adding the skew now on both here manually. And so like this, it is going to work. All right, so let's take a look at the original. And what is missing here, of course, is this effect that's going on, okay? But I'm leaving that to the next lecture so that we can take a break now, okay? So see you by then.